Hi there, I'm Dr. Sujay and I am your host. I am so excited because I have this series on women and I am so excited, ignited, and delighted to be with you and that you're with us today. And I have two outstanding guests, new friends, but they're friends. And after this, I hope they'll be your friends. Alison Sneed, a designer, and Blair Seagram, a visual artist. Welcome.
Thank
Thank you for having
you.
me.
So we met at the church at an exhibit, a wonderful and live person exhibit and portrayal of a woman who was doing many characters. And
Yes.
then afterwards we talked and I said, if you will take a picture on my bench. And so you did that. You and Allison took a picture on my bench on Main Street in front of 42 Main Street. So tell us about our meeting and what that was like.
Well, it was the Nigerian woman that was doing the reading and the
Mm-hmm.
performance that was so amazing. And then after I went to the reception, you were there, and I said, "Is she coming down?" And you said, I think she may have left.
Mm-hmm.
And then we chatted away, and I told you I lived on Main Street in SAG, and you said, "Oh, well, you've got to go check out my bench." So I took your contact info,
Yes.
and then we separated, and you came over to me later and said, "She's here."
Yeah.
And so that was really good, and I went over with another person, and we started talking to
Well,
her.
we're so glad you were able to be here. And Allison, you actually sat on the bench. It was a
Yes, she
photo
was.
you took. It's so in front of 42 Main Street. It's the only African American, the only living person who has a bench on Main Street. So I'm so excited. The theater, Sag Harbor Cinema, also did a little piece on it. And so I'm excited. So what's it like? You're a Sag Harborite.
I am. I was born and raised here as a summer person, and now I live here year round for almost 20 years now, and I love it.
Wonderful. So you're a designer. You do some interior design. What else do you do?
I do floral design. I do events, decor. I do container gardening, pots around people's property, around the pools and
Okay.
doorways. Yeah, I
Well, I'm
love what
so
I do.
glad to meet you because we have a need for you, and we're always doing events. So I'm so happy to have you on our show as well. Now, Blair, talk to us. You have an exhibit called Strata, or a whole
Well, I have a
series.
series called Strata, but Allison helped me with a little roof garden this summer, and it was really great. So
I'm
it was a
sure.
wonderful to look out and see what she, helped me with. Well,
So
she did
sometimes
help.
we have to get some pictures of that for our next show.
Absolutely,
Oh,
I'd
But
love
talk
to.
to us about
Okay,
Strata.
so the thing is, I originally started out when I started to live out here full time,
Mm-hmm.
kind of full time. I started making these panoramas of landscapes, seascapes, and later surfers going across the waves.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for a few years, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And then I went on a trip to Europe, and I took a lot of different kinds of pictures. And when I got back, I started making them into panoramas. But then I started to put one panorama on top of another and
Mm.
try and create a kind of new story or new narrative, as people like to say, or almost what the French call passage.
Yes.
And so sometimes it was successful, sometimes, some of them, no, they weren't.
But they're
But
absolutely beautiful. I mean, just we want to see those again if throughout the show. But they're absolutely beautiful. One of the things I did this past weekend was just sit on Long Beach, and I watched the sunset, and it had four different variations of its setting. And so one of your pictures, actually portraits, actually reminds me of the sun setting. What got you into watching these things?
I think what happened is that when I was living in New York, I was doing a lot with language and
Mm-hmm.
plexiglass and stuff like that. And digital photography was coming around, and I
Yes.
worked at a graphic design. I was doing graphic design at a company, and we were into using digital cameras and stuff. So then I started coming out here, and I was just blown away by the landscape.
Yes.
And so I just transitioned into photography. I studied fine art. I didn't study photography. I mean, it might have been courses, but that kind of, photography is a tool.
Oh, yes. So what brought you out to this area? What got you here?
Well, I think I'd come out first of all, I came from Canada originally to go to art school in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then friends would invite me out to Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met a man older than myself, and we started to hang out together.
Yes.
And so that's gradually, I came out here more and more. After 9/11, my job was way more freelance and way
Yes.
not so much. So that's when I really started doing the panoramas and spending more time out here.
So they're saying that everybody's going back to film. Will that affect what you do?
Well, people will go back to film, but we're in the digital world, so,
So you're
I don't
good
think there's
there.
a problem, yeah.
Okay.
Not
so,
for me.
So your family's been here. You've been here for a few generations now. What brought your family out here?
My mother, was looking for a second home, a summer home, and I don't know how she actually found, I was an infant. I don't know how she found out about the Black community in Sag Harbor.
Yeah, we just celebrated our 75th anniversary
Yes.
in Azurest,
Yes.
which was so exciting. I came out 25 years ago with my family. So were you able to actually grow up out here, attend the
did.
schools and the whole
No,
thing?
no, only in summer as a
Oh,
child.
so it was a summer home.
Yeah, and they were idyllic summers. Just swimming in the bay that's down
Yes.
from our Black neighborhood there in Sag, and then the ocean, and then Trout Pond over, which is where we met at Trout Pond. It's a
Yes.
freshwater pond off Noyak Road,
Yes.
and I just remember just a wonderful, wonderful childhood.
So tell us how you got into design. What attracted you? Did you always have kind of an artistic flair?
Well, I went to Sarah Lawrence College and I studied art history. So, you learn all of the basics of how
Composition,
composition,
design,
yeah,
color.
texture, all of
Yes.
that. And so it's always worked in, and I wanted to be I wanted to be an ad man when I was younger.
Oh, wow.
And when I hit the market, it was right when all the big companies were gobbling up the little ones. Right out of school. And so that didn't, they were letting people go. There was
Right, it wasn't really a way to get in. It was
Yes,
actually people
no,
on
there
the
was
exit.
redundance, and
Yes.
they were letting people go. So I had to sort of move into something else. I got into doing display and merchandising in retail.
Really?
So I worked for all the big retailers: Barney's, Bendel's, Bloomingdale's,
Bloomingdale's, yes, all the bees. Yes.
And I did windows, mannequins and set design in a way. And so I moved into Manhattan doing that. And then I decided to move out here. I mean, because it was a very sort of strenuous schedule to do windows. You'd stay
Yes.
up all night to do that.
Right,
You were like
exactly.
the elves in the middle of the night. And so then when I moved out here, I had to find work out here, which,
Yes.
everybody who lives out here, we all do more than one thing.
Multi-purpose people.
You know?
Yeah, multitaskers. Yes.
But one of the first really fun jobs that I found was working for Meacock's Gardens in Southampton.
Oh.
And I would style the rooms there with all of the beautiful furniture and furnishings
I
that
love
they had
it.
there.
I love
And
it.
even the outdoor rooms. And they had a floral design division.
Oh, wow. So it's perfect for you. Yes. Wonderful.
So I learned floral design from a fourth generation floral designer who lives out here,
Wow.
still my best friend, Lisa McWilliams. And she taught me all of the ins and outs of arrangements.
So we don't always know how the break is going to come. What was your first break in terms of being shown in a gallery and having your work really admired?
Well, I think it was really here, I showed with a gallery in Southampton, Mark Humphrey, and then I got picked up by Tula Booth Gallery in Sag Harbor, and
Yes.
she still has my work, and it was the surfing that really kind of took off. Although she was pretty good with selling the seascapes, she good salesperson and knew her stuff,
Yeah.
and a photographer herself.
Yes, yes.
So it was easier out here.
Yes.
It was just everything was local. I mean, she's down the street from me,
Right. So everyone really needs a mentor, somebody to help you get a break is really what it's about. If you said A plus B plus C equals success in your field, what would you say is the A and the B?
I think it's more circumstantial or like energetic. I think you sort of, if you're using your intuition, you gravitate towards things that please you, make you
Yes.
happy, or feel like ease. There's an ease,
Yes.
and then you just fall in with people. There have been some wrong moves. Like I've taken jobs that didn't suit me.
Yes.
I minded a shop once that, like, I don't know if I saw more than 5 customers in a month. You know what I
Yes.
mean? But when there's magic in finding people who are into the same things that you're into.
That's awesome. What would you say would be your formula?
For success?
Yeah.
Well, still,
In your
still to
field?
come.
Okay, you're on your path.
Yeah, I think you want to, yes, you want to explore other people's work. You want to go around to exhibits. You want to meet people. You want to have a good time. And that's right. You need to, it's really about, if you're going to talk about a dealer, it's a dealer who understands your work, who will be able to sell it. Now, of
Yes.
course, we got a lot of other things going along with social media now and everything else. But traditionally, if it was the gallery, they need to respond to your work in order to sell it.
So let's talk about social media because that's a new era. I'm a pre-social media girl. I had my first computer in grad school. So what do you do now that things have changed? How does it affect your business?
I have to admit I haven't really used it business wise. I mean, I have the various accounts, Twitter, which go on, Facebook I hardly go on, Instagram I've been going back to Instagram, and actually I've been making some pieces specifically for the square of Instagram, but I'm
Okay.
making them large, so they're 40 by 40 at 300 DPI, so they can be printed. But it's just a fun exercise with a Wacom tablet that's just playing around.
Okay.
But there are people, Alice and I were talking about this yesterday, and we were talking about the algorithms and how the algorithms, for instance, on Instagram have changed.
Yes.
And it's not about a still image anymore.
Right.
And people are moving away to Twitter and other social media because they're not
TikTok.
getting the TikTok.
TikTok, you have
Yeah.
to kind of move it
All
around.
motion. Everything
Yes,
has to be movement.
exactly. And it's a younger generation getting a lot of the attention.
Well-
How are you dealing with social media?
Oof, it's there's a learning curve, and the learning curve just keeps on going.
Yes.
Because they change it up. Just when you think you've figured out all the parameters,
Exactly.
and each social media platform has so many different aspects to it. You've got your stories and your reels and
Exactly.
they want you to keep them all going. And then the graphics, your hashtags and your
Exactly. I just got a note from YouTube in terms of you got to change your handle. I'm like, I just got a hint. So it's like, okay. But I hire someone. That's a younger
Yeah.
generation.
Wouldn't that be nice?
There's a young man who just started here on this show actually as an intern. So what are you doing for the next generation? Do you have someone who's coming up that you're pouring into, but also that's teaching you?
That's a really good point. When I started Instagram back in 2014 or something, it's simple enough. People say, "Oh, you got it," but I used my niece. I had her help me. She's in São Paulo in Brazil, but we just did the whole thing. It didn't take long. I paid her to help me, and that was it. But since that time, Instagram has changed a lot.
Yes.
And it's gotten a little more complex. And I don't really do reels. I know they want reels, but I think, yeah, it's like, again, it's something I need to spend a little more time with.
Yeah. I have
And
an
it's
employment-
better to have a younger person.
You do, yes.
But even my niece was saying, "Oh God," and she's 30.
Right.
It's gone beyond her. Because there's just so many, and which ones will survive?
Exactly. And which ones are really the best for you, for your medium? So with design, have you found like a platform that's the best for you?
I've enjoyed Instagram. I think any business has to have a Facebook page. It's almost like
Yeah.
it's like the homepage of your website. Sort of.
Yes.
You do need a website, and I need to create one for my design, all my various design fields that I go into. But I do like Instagram, but it's just gotten so much more complicated, and with the algorithm, all of that work that you put into it, all that content creation,
Yes.
it's overwhelming.
Yeah. I've decided I'm going to focus. I'm a visual person. I'm going to
Okay.
focus more on YouTube. And there are classes that you can individually teach people, like what goes into the making of a portrait artist or a visual artist. And so those are getting a lot of hits to kind of teach us what we don't know, teach us how to cook,
Oh.
things like we took for
Yeah.
granted. Teach us how to cook, boil water. So there's some thoughts we could actually look into, like which one is going to be the platform that works the best for you. And we still have to experiment. You were going to say?
Each one of us has our own areas of expertise, right?
Yes.
And so for me, also fashion, because when I was doing windows and display, we were creating the outfits that the mannequins would have on, right?
Yes.
In the interior of the store as well. So I have this fashion knowledge, But everything has to be a niche. It has to be
Yeah.
very, very finite.
Right. Your hook.
Your
Your
hook.
hook. Your
And sometimes
niche,
you
yes.
find out what your best, most marketable hook is
Right.
by posting things and then seeing what the feedback is.
Yes. So I have a friend, Audrey Smalls, who used to date Lionel Hampton and who was a fashion fair model for Ebony, I mean, years ago. She found that as the fashion industry was changing, she then developed what they called the ground crew, and they helped the models get ready to go on the runway. She couldn't be the runway model anymore. So it's always finding, like, what's the next, not just the
Yeah,
now.
that-
What's the next in your
Right,
business?
right. What is the next in my business?
Social media.
Yes, I have a website which is a portfolio.
Yes.
It's really for a
And it's
portfolio.
beautiful, actually.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
It is.
Yeah, but it could be for selling. What I'd like to do is, I'm actually working on a number of different things right now. And in terms of business, it's not my strongest point.
Okay. Well, we have our niches. So how can folks find you? What is your website?
BlairSeagram.com.
Say that one more time.
It's BlairSeagram.com.
BlairSeagram.com.
Thank
And what's
you.
the best way to reach you by your email?
Email, yeah. Alison Wonderland, spelled strangely, Alison, number 1, then the DERLAND. But on optimum.net. So Alison Wonderland on optimum.net.
Oh, how wonderful is that? That's catchy as well. Because it's not just your hook, it's your nook and your niche. You got to have something. Have any of you published books?
No, but I'd
Have you
love
thought
to.
about putting your artwork in a book?
Yes,
Writing.
I did some books last winter. I started with the Strata because they fit the size of. I use Shutterfly actually, and so that was really interesting because it took me into another whole area with the work. With those Strata pieces, I wanted to make them into a drawing, and I found filters in Photoshop which I'd never explored.
Wow.
So it was that was just a learning thing, and I was doing those as a catalog. And then Shutterfly has when the book opens up, they have heavy pages and seamless. So I'm like, oh, then I can do catalogs of the panoramas.
Right.
And these are really just to have, like, here's the book.
Yes,
it's
yes.
not, I haven't tried to sell the book, but to have a record.
Yes.
But
yes.
I am working on another thing totally different now.
Well, that's great, but you have some mediums to be and some platforms to share your work, which is good. I used Shutterfly when my 2 sons graduated college. I had saved all the pictures from every stage of their
Oh,
lives,
wow.
and so that is what I present. Instead of the baby book we used to get,
Yeah.
this is their book, and they come back at home and look at it and they said, can you show me that picture again of me and Dad? So they have something to keep all the time for the rest of their
It's
lives.
nice to put together in one and have it in one place.
Yes. Have you thought about a book?
No, but I'm thinking about YouTube. YouTube videos.
Yes.
Sharing your expertise on there is
Yes. And they don't have to be a certain length. So you have 10 seconds, 10 minutes. This is XYZ. And I find that is the medium right now that's best for me. And it's easy to do. And
I saw that you had some
Yeah.
posts on YouTube.
yes, I'm youtube.com/Ambassador Sujay. And I spell Sujay. And trying to put Live with Sujay, both this show and just some motivational moments and different things.
I see. That's
Yeah.
so that YouTube thing is motivational moments, which is different than this show.
Right. So everything's under my umbrella of Live with Sujay, and then there are motivational moments. There's the TV show. There are conversations that are with some kind of famous people. So I kind of keep it under the banner of Live with Sujay so people know how to find me.
Right. That's why we were seeing the moments
Yes.
when we were checking.
Yeah, we
it
saw
out
you
this
on
morning.
YouTube. So
Oh,
we thought,
We
okay.
were on the phone looking
And
it
the
up.
other key is that the moments actually get you hits, because the thing with all this social media is how many people are following you, how many people are watching you, because that determines kind of where you place, not just the algorithm, but where you really place in the whole world of these things. So just some things to think about,
All right.
So what's been a highlight for you?
of having moved out here year round.
Yeah, living
Well,
out
the
here.
floral design has its highlights. I mean, because you're creating kind of magic. And brides, we did a lot of weddings. One year, we did 60 my colleagues and I, 60 weddings between Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Wow.
That meant in June, 3 of the weekends were 6 weddings.
Really?
One weekend, and one weekend was 7 weddings. we could hardly keep all of the arrangements and the
Yes.
bouquets, separated as to
Who was for what wedding?
Yeah, which bride was this?
Yes, yes.
I mean, we were
Wow.
cranking it out, and we loved every minute of it.
That's great. That's great because every minute is business, and that's awesome. That's awesome. What's been a highlight for you in terms of maybe your gallery work or just in general?
Well, something that was really nice was somebody gifted one of the strata pieces to the parish museum. So that was really nice to know that there's something there of mine in a museum. But I think that the whole thing about the East End is just the lifestyle. It's there's a lot going on
Yes,
culturally,
yes.
and yet at the same time, you have nature. It's still there, and you can go. And it's free. I mean, you can go to the beach. You can. I mean, you know what I mean when I say that.
Yes,
I mean, there are
I
places-
love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I mean, on any day, so it doesn't have to be a hot summer day, but on any day, I just enjoy the variation of and diversity of nature. Watching the seagulls one day, the sailboats another day.
Right.
It is a beautiful.
And just
beautiful
driving out here is fantastic.
Oh,
It
between
really
the
is.
fields, the farm fields, and
I
watching what
mean-
they're growing and watching
Yes.
it being harvested.
And everything is well, it's a special
beautiful.
place. You-
Special
different
place.
seasons. You see the different things. So, if you categorize your life into seasons, what season is this in your life?
Oh my goodness. Okay, but in my head, I'm 30.
I'm
So,
ching.
so I mean, maybe I'm in the fall of my life, like chronologically, but I don't feel like that at all.
Is it a productive season though?
Oh, absolutely. I've really enjoyed this fall. I'm enjoying it right now as we speak, just driving here. The leaf peeping
Yes.
is off the charts this
Yes,
year.
yes. I stop and take pictures. So sometimes the trees are just so glaringly beautiful. I'd say I know there are trucks behind me, but I'm like, I got to get this picture.
And the light, I mean,
Yeah.
part of the reason we live here is the light. As artists know that like the water, the ocean is right there making that reflection, and
Yes.
just the light in the beautiful tree color that we're seeing now.
Yes, it's so beautiful. What season are you in your career?
Well, I could easily say the fall. I could easily say the winter. I don't know that my career has ever taken off, but it's okay. It's like, as long as you know a way to pay the bills, this is what I say, pay the bills, and that's all you really, and be nice to people. Other than that, you can do whatever you want.
So what's your dream? What's takeoff mean for you?
Well, I would like to see my work shown in a gallery in New York, let's say,
Okay.
not less necessarily out here. And I would like, I mean, when I finished the strata pieces, which it was a 4-year thing, and I only got, I say I have 10. Yes, there were others, but 10, let's say. Like, I'd like to see them in a gallery. I'd like to see them together, shown.
Okay, okay.
And it could be out here, by the
love
way.
Well, your work hangs in galleries out here.
Yes, but it doesn't. But the way and that's fine. It's like, I'm happy when dealers put the work up. People come in, buy it. That's wonderful, and that is a way some galleries the best way for them. But it's nice to see a body of work up together. You don't know yourself how the thing is going to look till it's displayed. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
okay, got it.
So that isn't maybe always the best way to sell, but it's a good thing for an artist's career, and it's
Yeah.
a good thing for them to, experience.
What's a takeoff for you? What would you like? What's a dream for you beyond where you are?
I'd like to have a squad of people that help me create the magic. Just
Yeah.
create the visuals. I'm a very visual person, and I just feel like Hampton's people love their environment to be beautiful.
Yes.
Like we just talked about the natural beauty that's here.
Yes.
And they like their homes and their gardens to be beautiful, and I'd like to help them with that because I have kind of a level up, as a person who does fantasies of environments, sets, or display.
Well, you have a client for next year. I'll tell you
Oh,
that next
excellent.
summer.
Hey.
Definitely, you have a client right here because I
Very
love
good.
beauty as well. So you talk about paying bills. Let's talk about paying dues. What did you have to do to get where you are?
Well, they say in order to become good at something or be an expert, considered an expert, you have to do that 10,000 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've definitely put in my 10,000
Okay,
hours.
okay. So you're at 10,001 and you're ready to take off.
Yeah, I think I've got 10,000 hours in a couple of different disciplines.
Okay, I
You
think
know,
so too. Yes.
and any of it. I'm flexible. I'm open. You have to sort of go. I mean, after what we've been through with COVID and
Yes.
the shutting down of business, what you did before, it may not be what you do after.
Exactly, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So our generation, our parents had to work in some kind of good government job, get to go watch and
Their
die.
whole life.
The whole life. Now you can do many things at a time, and it's okay.
And it's good. I mean, that is absolutely the future. I mean, it's
Yes.
happening now, and it's not this idea that you will go to university, learn how to do something, and you're going to do it for the rest of your life. You're going to
Exactly.
keep learning. And
And we have many millennials who are like, "Well, I'm making tons of money. Why even finish?" I mean, that's a whole nother generation that
Yeah, they
aren't
don't
getting
even
their
finish
degree.
college.
Yeah, and they're selling businesses and making billions.
And
So
they quit their jobs just at the drop of a hat.
exactly.
And they have no fear about well, wait a minute, how our next month's bill is going to get paid or next year's.
Yeah, it's an
they just
instantaneous kind of generation.
yeah, they get, but it's
Yeah.
always a good idea to move towards something. Don't quit something
Exactly.
out of being out of disliking what you're doing.
Right.
But these millennials, they get distracted by another shiny, fabulous
Or they have a lot of
project.
money in their hand at one time, but they don't think that down the road you're gonna need some that kind of goes
Admire
over
their
time.
guts and to move towards something. Move if something looks promising or exciting or like you might have fun with it, run with it.
We have to move towards the end of the show. Tell us one more time where they can find you. Allison.
AlisonWonderland.com. Well, no, I do have that website, but it's not quite up.
Give us the email.
AlisonWonderland at optimum.net.
Spell Allison Wonderland one more time.
ALISON, the number 1, and then DERLAND. So
Thank you. And how can they find you? Where's your website?
BlairSeagram.com.
Spell that out for us one time.
Okay, BlairSeagram.com.
And you've been with me. I'm Dr. Sujay. You can reach me in many places, but mostly right here with Live with Sujay. Thank you.